And we're back. Welcome back to the Auto Authorities Podcast. My name is Jay and Gerald coming to you live. Well, we have those keywords again. Is there a car shortage? I'm going to let you know, and Gerald's going to let you know in this episode today, and you might be surprised on what we say. Are you ready to go, Gerald?
Sure.
Let's go.
Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride while buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay, and this is the podcast to tell you what to watch out for, whether you are buying, selling, or repairing your car. With over 26 years of automotive experience, we are the Auto Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent.com. We're real estate agents for cars.
Booyah, we are back. And we are talking about, is there a car shortage? And truly, for all of you that are listening, you may be very surprised what Jay and Gerald have for you in store today. But before we get going, I want to thank our sponsors, iAutoAgent.com. They have two different divisions. They have a fleet division helping business owners with fleets buy the vehicles, sell the vehicles for maximum profit, and handle those tedious tasks as a strategic partner for those businesses. And we have an individual division where we act as real estate agents for cars. We help you find that perfect newer pre-owned car nationwide. You don't have to go deal with the dealers. We work finding the vehicle, we deal with the dealers, and we tee it up so you can go pick up your car when you approve the deal. And of course, we also sell that car for maximum profit for you. We market, we list, and we show the car at no cost to you. You'll never have to meet another strange person ever again. And then we have Wrestling with Sales. Tell us a little bit about that, Gerald.
Yeah, hey, we're putting out new shows every week. We had an interesting one. We actually dove in a little bit to auto sales this week, and I talked with the guys from Automotive State of the Union. They cover auto dealers, auto news, and just a really good full circle look at everything that's going on with car dealerships right now. We talked about getting women to work at the dealerships, mechanic shortage. So a little bit of a departure from just a little analogy on how you can wrestle with sales. I actually talked about sales, but you can also find there's recent interviews with former NWA world champion Trevor Murdoch on there. Going to talk with Sean Legacy about making it from the U.S. to pro wrestling Noah, hitting the big leagues in Japanese pro wrestling, and the effort and the risk that he took to do that. So pretty interesting stuff. You can find it on YouTube at Wrestling with Sales and also on the air on the Fired Up Sports Network. And then you can find this show on the air as well on the Shop Plus network. If you have a TCL TV, you got it on your TV, and plenty of other streaming platforms. So nice to be able to say we're actually on broadcast too.
It's really exciting. We have grown so much. We've been doing this since 2021, every week coming to you. And we do it live also on the Facebook group page. You can just click the join group button on Tuesday at 12 p.m. Central Time. And you can go to LinkedIn and watch it live. You can go to 19 different channels such as iTunes, Pandora, Google Podcasts. But the one channel that we really want you to subscribe to is the Auto Authorities on YouTube. You can watch it, all of our recorded shows. It's worldwide. We're getting a ton of views every single week. And we want you to also leave comments on anything that you hear today. Whether you have questions, you can send questions directly to the AutoAuthorities.com. That's the AutoAuthorities.com. Or you can just simply make those comments. And I really want to really get into this today because this is a huge topic. I don't think people realize the magnitude. We just got finished talking about the UAW update on last show. Mm-hmm. So, is there a car shortage? And Gerald, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, there absolutely is. There may be a surplus in what you're seeing in the news, certain models, certain really expensive models that were produced at a time when interest rates were functional zero, so any manufacturer could do 0%. They are sitting there. The Grand Wagoneer may go down to be as bad a product launch for Jeep as the Jeep Commander was. I don't know, Jay, do you remember the Jeep Commander?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And that's why it doesn't exist anymore.
Now, it lasted about 2 years, and it was a big 3-row
Yep.
SUV. Uh, Fuel economy was amazingly bad. That thing would get about, I think it's stickered at 14 miles a gallon on the highway. It functionally got about 11. People who bought them loved them, but I mean, it was like driving a tank. I mean,
Hmm.
you had to go to the gas station every day. Your new best friend was the cashier at the gas station when you paid your $180 a month or a week to fill the thing up. So the Wagoneer seems to be going down that path. You can take
Hmm.
a look at Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep dealerships across the country, and some of them still have new 2022 Wagoneers sitting on their lot. So that's the exception. There's plenty of those. If you want a Grand Wagoneer, if you're in the market for $100,000 luxury SUV that gets 14 miles a gallon, gotcha, no problem. But
Hmm.
the reality is there is still a huge shortage of cars. Right now, there are 2.2 million new cars listed for sale in the country. There's just over 2 million used cars listed. That's not normal.
Hmm.
As wasn't a math major, but there's a lot more years of used cars available than there are new cars because there's
Yep.
1 year new cars available, a little bit of 24 coming out now. There's a lot of years of used cars available. 2.2 million new versus 2 million used. That's not a normal, healthy mix of inventory.
Yeah. And also, if you look at those price points too, that also is crazy because most of those price points are way up there,
Hmm.
and they're way up there because people don't want 40 and $50,000 cars. They don't want an over $1,000 a month payment for their car, and
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be.
they're sitting there. I mean, this is for the end of August. The average new car payment was $750. The average used car payment wasn't that much less. It was almost 600.
Mhm.
Those numbers are higher than what the average new car payment was pre-COVID. The average new car payment was in the 500s pre-COVID. Now the average used car payment
Yep.
is higher than that. So while inflation overall is ticking down, you got to remember car inflation spiked up so high, coming down a percent, 2% a time is almost imperceptible because it jumped up by 30%. So it's going to take a long time for that to get into a healthy market condition. And the interest rates being where they're at makes it worse. I mean, it's a huge bite on your buying power when your APR on an average used car loan is 13.7 because really back in 2019 if it was 5 or 6, 6.9, that's about where used cars were coming in, so that rate's doubled. That definitely drives the expense level of the cars up dramatically. And, you know, we've talked about it before. What you're seeing with used cars, the ones that are 35, 40,000, and there's plenty of them, they're sitting. The ones that are 15, 17, 18, 20,
Gone.
they're gone. And they're not being replaced because those people can't go buy a new car. I mean, you've been checking for customers. How hard is it right now to find a Corolla or a
Oh,
Civic or an
oh,
Impreza?
yeah. Oh, yeah. We have a Civic listed. We just listed a Civic. It's a 2021 with only 17,000 miles
Mhm.
EX, and we've got it for 25,997. And truly, that's about what it costs brand new.
Yeah.
And but you can't get them. You can't get them. So it will sell quickly. But still, it's $26,000 for a freaking Honda Civic. Like, what? Like,
So
that just doesn't make sense.
you're well over a $500 a month payment at
Exactly.
a 60-month term. So you're going to finance it out 72 and probably get to low 500s, high 400s.
If that. I mean, you'd
Yeah.
be really lucky. Now, I'll share a little golden nugget with everybody here. Now, Gerald had shared this from the Wall Street Journal, but the truth is if you've kept your credit really, really good, like above 800, you could go to a local credit union and you could probably get an APR almost half that if you
Around 7. Sure.
Yeah, I mean here in St. Louis, if you have really awesome credit, some of our credit unions they're offering 599 up to 60 months and 699 up to 72.
Hmm.
And I mean that's high still, but it's not as bad as it could be if you depended on going to the dealer and figuring it out because that would not be a smart move and unfortunately most people do.
Well, and really, a 740 or above credit score is going to get you however they classify it. If it's tier 1 plus, some banks have gone to calling it tier 0. But yeah, no, it's a part of it.
Oh
It
yeah.
really is.
Yeah. And like that's what my recommendation would be, and I know Gerald would say as well, is if you are in a situation where you do need a vehicle right now, there are ways that you can get around some of these higher interest rates. Now, you've got to do your part also as far as keeping your credit up there, but you could do a lot better than what the average is as long as you're above average.
Hmm. Which is
You know?
definitely a big part of the equation. And the other thing that I think is driving, it's not necessarily, it's a different shortage than what we had because during the COVID era, there just weren't any cars. Now you're seeing a disparity. If you want a real expensive, real hard loaded car, you can probably find it because that's what the manufacturers are focusing on. That's what they're
Mhm.
making. And it's rewarding them so far. What we talked about last week, the big three made $21 billion in profits the first half of the
Mhm.
year, but they're doing it at a cost. And the cost, unfortunately, is the American car buyer. The chief economist of Cox Automotive, that's the company that owns Auto Trader, Kelley Blue Book, Manheim Auto Auctions, and a bunch of automotive software companies, including a finance bank communication program called DealerTrack that allows dealers to contract customers with outside lenders. So they're in it, they're integrated on all levels of the auto market. Their chief economist, Jonathan Smoke, just said on the record that almost half of Americans are priced out of the new or used car market because of a payment cap of $400 a month based off their income. And the other problem is the dealerships and the manufacturers aren't stocking nor producing cars that hit a $400 payment. Is that something that you've been seeing? Because he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
chief economist, but it's pretty easy math to look at. If you take the average American household income
Yep.
and take out the portion that economists say is healthy for transportation, you get a number of $400.
Yeah. Yeah, I said this last time. I just think it's greed. And it's these manufacturers, they don't give a crap about our American citizens. And they said, you know what? We don't give a shit. We're not going to make the cars that don't make us money. We're just going to keep putting all these freaking Silverados and F-150s, as many as we can to these dealers. And they're screwing over the dealers too. I mean, they really are. They're really screwing over the dealers because when you get in and like I was just at one of the Chrysler dealerships
Hmm.
we deal a lot with dealerships and there's a lot of great dealerships out there. And this was
Done with
one of
this guy,
them
right?
that we were dealing with. Um, we were dealing with, and he's like, man, he goes, we'll take like $5,000-6,000 off this truck right now. I said, yeah, but this truck is like $75,000, and even $5,000 and $6,000. Do the math on a $70,000 vehicle. Holy cow!
Yeah, it's $100 a month off what would be a $1,400 a month payment.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, do you want to drive a Ram truck, or do you want to live in a house?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, really, truly, I mean, there are people that have a lot lower house payments than some of these cars.
Sure there are.
So,
Yeah.
Is there a shortage? Absolutely. And we can thank the manufacturers for that. They know what they're doing now, and exactly what you said. And it actually pisses me off the more I talk about it.
Well, because here, there's still parts delays too. Random parts delays are pausing the production right now of the F-150, the Chevy Colorado, the GMC Canyon. These aren't announced recalls. They're not stop sales. They're just saying, man, we don't have all the parts, so we're just going to wait. Everybody take off. Because that's one way to limit production again, to limit supply, to drive up cost, to lower days in stock. And it kind of goes against the theory that's being spread everywhere that the manufacturers were force feeding cars because they wanted to walk into the strike with a backlog of cars. Maybe they did, and now they said, there's too many, we're going to back it off. But, at a certain point, how much of it is the sales badger in the companies that are just driving everything up? I mean, your sales badger at the dealership may be a victim, but they're not the cause, because Grady isn't making the cars. He just sells cars. So he's forced to deal with the hands that he's dealt. He has the cards he's dealt. That's what he has to do.
Yeah.
He may want to sell you a $400 car, but, doesn't have it. All he has are $1,000 a month cars. So
Yep.
Grady's having a hard time. But, you got to really question the whole ecosystem and the choices that were made now going back to 2019. I've heard quite a few commentaries talking about how Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram really kind of abandoned their customers, because it used to be you could go get yourself a Dodge Avenger. You could get a Chrysler 200. You could get a Jeep Liberty. And those were Jeep Patriot. Those were cars of the people, right?
Yep.
Nobody was ever going to vote the Dodge Avenger as one of the best cars in America. It was never going to be a Motor Trend car of the year. But you know what the Avenger did? It ran. The AC worked. It had a radio. And you could drive a new Avenger for $350, $400 a month, and they sold them like crazy.
Oh, sure.
And you still see a bunch of Dodge Avengers driving around.
Yep.
But that's gone, because those lower price point cars are either killed off or they're just not making them. And you can't buy them to stock up as used cars because not enough new. So they're not coming in used. And even if people trade out of them, there's still another layer of the problem. And that is a massive shortage of fleet vehicles. This was a crazy stat. At the New York Auto Forum, Tom King said that because of COVID shortages of new cars, there's a 2.4 million backlog of unfilled fleet vehicles. Companies waiting to buy them as business cars.
Yep.
So you know what the fleet vehicles are? They're Toyota Corollas, they're LE Camrys, they're LT Malibus, they're Equinoxes, they're Escapes.
Yep.
Those cars aren't there. Those fleet cars that aren't there today, those are the used cars that you would see at all your dealerships as certified pre-owned cars for whatever brand they were in 2 years. They're not going to be there. So it's going to take a long time for any of this to really work out.
Yeah. This is really good. everybody that's listening to this, we'd love to hear your comments and your feedback on this. Is this stuff helpful for you? We just want to hear from you, because unless we hear from you, we don't know. We want to keep providing this information to you, letting you know what's really going on, not the crap that you read on the internet, not the crap that you see on TV. This is real information. I've been doing this, gosh, almost 27 years, and Gerald's been at almost 23. You know, we know our shit, and we want to really make sure that you guys know it as well. So thank you for joining us today. We will see you next week. Peace.